Hello and welcome to Pop Culture Shark, a live stream about all things pop culture. I'm Final Monkey,
And I'm Caleb.
and joining us today is Chunko. How are you, Chunko?
I'm doing all right.
That is awesome. Today it's going to be a little bit of a somber podcast or live stream. We are remembering the life of Kevin Conroy, who voiced Batman, the Batman animated series, for a number of years. Um, but before we do that, let's do our weekend checkup. Caleb, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, doing good. Just really been vibing. Been playing a lot of the Old Republic. I think every couple months I'm kind of like sucked in and uh, addicted. And so this time around, I decided to be at least a little bit more productive. I had a friend of mine teach me the in-game economics so that I could start like selling items and whatnot. Um, but that's mostly of what I've been doing. Other than that, I've actually this week I've started watching a show um, called Dragon Prince on Netflix. Have you heard of that?
It sounds familiar, but I don't know anything about it.
Okay. Well, Dragon Prince, I had not heard of it until uh, maybe like last week. It's actually uh, by the people who did Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra, and it's what they're working on now.
Okay.
And it's on Netflix, and it's a little bit more adult. Um, it's actually really good. I'm having a good time with it.
Yeah, they aren't they the same ones that did Voltron?
Maybe
I want to say they.
It's
yeah,
got a similar art style.
I was never into Voltron, so I'm not sure.
That's a great series on Netflix. Yeah, very. That's a really um strong creative team, and I think that's where Dave Filoni got his start was Avatar: Last Airbender. So
Yes, yeah.
yeah,
There's actually a one of the clones in Clone Wars is named I believe his name's Appa,
there you go.
named after Aang's flying bison, and the way that you know clones like they have like their weird designs after they um, after they're like in the field they like to put designs on their helmets.
Yeah,
uh, Appa actually has the avatar arrow on his head or on his helmet.
nice, nice. That's super cool. Chunko, how have you been doing?
Been doing pretty well. What have I been doing this week? Well, me and my brother we watched the Cowboy Bebop movie last night.
That's right, yeah.
You take too long to crap. Yeah.
Oh man, and it was a sad time because I watched Cowboy Bebop like back in 2017 and I just never saw the movie, and so I've always had like that to hold on to, and now there's no new Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, I hear you. Um, as for myself, I have been playing tons and tons of Let's Build a Zoo. That is my obsession on the Switch. Last night when I was playing, UFO showed up to try to abduct the cows from the zoo, and then Men in Black shot it down. So now I have a UFO in my zoo. Um, I have several bacon factories set up, so we are breeding pigs as fast as we can. It's a really messed up zoo, and I love it. It's just a lot of fun.
Every I really wish I could get into some of those like uh, simulation games. I don't know what
It
it is, but like they always look interesting, and I've just never tried one.
This one's cool because it kind of scratches that SimCity theme park itch, but then just when you start getting bored, something weird happens. It draws you back in. So it's very addicting.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah. So beyond that, been watching Chainsaw Man, really enjoying that. Um,
I need to read that sometime.
it's pretty good. I'm enjoying it. Um, I'm getting back to a point where I'm trying to watch more anime than anything else because everything else just frustrates me. So it's like,
Hmm.
yeah, anime's pretty safe to
After
watch. So
after watching the She-Hulk finale, you're just like, well, back to my comfort zone.
yeah, it's just like Marvel and Disney and whatever else just disappoints. So it's like anime is usually pretty satisfying. So I'm gonna watch that for a while. So yep,
Um,
yep, yep.
I had someone at church, one of the teenagers. He's like, "Yeah, I just started One Piece, watching One Piece," and I'm like, "Dude, you're gonna be dead before you finish that."
My youngest watched it. Um, he watched all of it during the summer and got caught up. So I mean, you
Really?
can do it. If you don't have a job or don't have to go to school, you could do it. Um, so and it's in the we're in the final part of the story right now, which is really cool.
I think
Um,
he's told me that like 10 years ago too.
it really is though. Like characters that they've been mentioning for 20 years that have never showed up have finally showed up, and like we're starting to find out all the answers to things and stuff. I mean, it's still probably got like 5 years, but it is. You could tell it's in the final parts of the story. So,
So I don't know if we talked about this. How was Red?
I really enjoyed Red. It is a musical.
Oh,
there,
really?
there's a lot of J-pop songs throughout it. Because Uda is the main. I hesitate to call her a villain, but she's the adversary and
The antagonist.
the antagonist, and so she sings a lot throughout the movie. Really great songs. I usually can't stand musicals, but this was fun. Uh, and it's just bonkers animation. It's hard to be bored during that movie. There's so much happening, so much chaos. Um, Story was really good. We all really liked it. So, and the theater went nuts when Law appeared on screen. I mean, the girls in the audience just went insane. I did not know he was that popular.
Oh yeah,
So,
she's. Oh yeah, like I know very little about One Piece, but I know about Law.
yeah. So,
So
it was wild.
let me ask you this: whenever it comes to One Piece, because I can watch, and this just comes up because we just watched the Cowboy Bebop movie, and the Cowboy Bebop movie, even though it came out after the show, it's actually very important to the show. But then I also watch, Dragon Ball Z movies, which are largely unimportant and are acted like they don't exist. Where do One Piece movies kind of land?
So the first several movies, Oda was not involved making them, so those don't really count. And then with Strong World, Oda started being involved. That being said, it's kind of very loose continuity. They kind of don't matter, but if you want to fit them in there, they can be fit in there. Um, and like certain things from the movie will be mentioned every once in a while, like certain characters and stuff. But it's very loose continuity. Uh, Strong World, Z, and Gold are all pretty friendly for people who know nothing about One Piece. You could just go in and watch those and be fine. Uh, Stampede is like what's the word I'm looking for? Uh,
Fan
oh,
servicey.
fan servicey. Yes, if you don't know anything about One Piece, you'll be like, "Who are all these characters?" Because it was like their anniversary special. So
Mm.
several characters just show up out of nowhere, and it's just like, "Hey, here's everything you love about One Piece," and yeah, you can get lost pretty quickly on that one. Um, this latest one, Red, it's pretty. Um, I think you could watch it without knowing much about it. So it's a lot about Shanks. So, uh, but yeah, really good. So
I'll get there eventually because whenever it comes to One Piece, every so often I won't just get in a Zelda mood, I'll get in a Wind Waker mood. I'll get
Hmm.
in a pirate mood and I'll start like watching Pirates of the Caribbean or playing Assassin's Creed 4. Um
If you
and
don't if you don't mind getting spoiled, who's going to join the crew? You know, One Piece Gold is a lot of fun. That's what I would recommend watching. If you're trying to say, hey, it's One Piece for me, I'd watch One Piece Gold and see.
okay.
I
Um,
know
Is
there's
there
a specific point where that you reach in One Piece where it hooks you.
yeah, Arlong Park. If you get to Arlong Park, you will be hooked. So that's like the fourth story arc, I want to say.
So it's kind of
Uh,
like a JoJo's fan reaching Battle Tendencies.
hold on. Well, here's the question because Battle Tendency that's 9 episodes in. Okay, how you said 4 story arcs though?
yeah, because you have to get Arlong Park is when the crew finally comes together as a team. So you got to
Okay.
get all those team members first. So you got to get through the story arcs of them meeting each of these characters, and then it
Now
comes together.
now story arcs aren't like they're not like Dragon Ball Z where it's like oh my gosh hundreds of episodes each story arc.
It's not. No, it's not. It's not that bad. Let me see when Arlong Park starts. Uh, episode 31. So you got to get through 30 episodes to get to that, and that's like that's like 4 different story arcs. So they move pretty quickly. Now the later story arcs they can go for 100 episodes, sure, but
By
the
then
early
you're hooked.
yeah, but the early ones move pretty quick. Um, but yeah, Arlong Park is just great.
I think I made it to the clown.
That's Buggy. That's the second story arc I want to say, or maybe the third. I don't know. The first episode I wouldn't really count as a story arc. It's just like a really quick stories right there at the beginning, and then it starts moving once they get Zoro and Usopp and everybody. So yeah, One Piece I love it. I know people get are scared of the number of episodes or chapters, but it's great. There's nothing quite like it. So all right, let's get to the news, and then we'll talk about Kevin Conroy after that. So first off, out of nowhere, we had a Studio Ghibli special drop. It was like a little 4 minute cartoon with Grogu.
I loved it.
Um, what did you, Cameron? Have you seen it? What did you think of it?
Yes, I watched it with Caleb actually. Caleb
We
and my mom and dad.
so dad left early this morning for Idaho because he was supposed to
I thought you were gonna say cigarettes. He left for cigarettes. We're still waiting for him to get back.
yeah, no, he went and got milk. But he left for Idaho this morning. He was supposed to get on a plane tomorrow, but he got an ear infection, and then they told him not to get on a plane. So we went over to their house just to say bye because we were going to say bye to him today, but went over to say bye. We watched this, and my dad's like, uh, "So what is it about?" And I said, "Dad, I think we've got kind of I think we've got a dead bird do not eat situation. I'm gonna wager that it's about Grogu and dust bunnies." uh, but yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. I really hope that this is just kind of like the testing grounds for Star Wars Vision Season 2
Yeah, I
because
didn't. I didn't mind this. I just felt like it was kind of like a. It was almost like a demo reel. Like, oh, can we animate Grogu? So I was kind of expecting a little bit more.
It was like
But
the
it was.
lost episode of SpongeBob.
Yeah, yeah. Like
no, it was
here's
definitely a
a
proof of concept.
yeah. So I'm hoping this leads to something bigger. I mean, this is fine. It was cute,
Yeah.
but I'd like to see. I would love to see Studio Ghibli just redo the original trilogy. you know.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think because I don't believe because they came up with like Star Wars Visions, right? I
Mhm.
don't believe that Ghibli was involved with season
I
11.
don't think they were. No, I don't. I don't remember seeing their name. Although I didn't watch all of them. I watched probably about half of them. Uh, and those were
Uh,
kind of hit or miss for me. But when it hit, they were pretty strong.
oh,
Um,
I think what was it, the Ninth Jedi? I
yes.
think that was like make that its own show and let it keep going.
Yeah, I was really impressed with that one. So that was the first one. I was like, oh, this feels like Star Wars. You know.
Right, right. I did love. You know what? Speaking of music, I love Tatooine Rhapsody.
Yeah, there were some weird takes on Star Wars in there for sure.
Yeah. I also love the Duel because I just love Akira Kurosawa. Um, I think you know what though. I think if you like Star Wars, you gotta like Akira Kurosawa to some extent.
Hmm.
And so I was just a big fan of that one. And then the everyone else thought the lightsaber umbrella was stupid. I thought it was cool.
I don't know if I remember that one or if I saw them. Like I said, I haven't seen all of them. We were kind of
It
skipping
was
around.
so it was the very first one. It was the one that was in black and white.
Oh yeah, that was cool. Yeah, yeah. Um,
Ghibli was not involved. Okay.
no, I didn't think they were.
So it is quite possible that for Vision season 2, because they have confirmed a season 2, it's
It's
quite
going to be
possible
worldwide.
that yeah, it is going to be worldwide. It's not just going to be um, anime. It's going to be like French studios and
Oh, that'd be cool because I think Arcane is a French studio or somewhere. It's one of the it's one of those countries over there. Um, and that animation is very impressive. So maybe we'll get something like that.
I still need to watch Arcane.
It's so good.
You know, I and the closer that we get to because I've played League and I'll admit it, it's kind of fun. But Riot is coming out with like other games. Like they keep talking about the League of Legends MMO and the League of Legends fighting game. The closer we get to those, I'm like, okay, I could probably get into Arcane.
Yep. Speaking of video games, Inscription is finally coming to Switch in December. I'm very excited about that. Um,
It's I haven't heard of that.
yeah, it's a card game, but stuff happens. It's kind of like Doki Doki Literature Club. The more I tell you about it, the more it'll ruin the game. So,
We just what we need to do, because I have it on my Steam library. What we need to do is just be like, "Hey, Caleb, we're gonna do a Doki Doki Literature Club uh, show in a month. Finish it in a month so we can talk about it."
yeah, we definitely should. Um, all right, next on our news, more Lucasfilm talk. Indiana Jones 5 Troubles. I don't know if you all saw this story.
I didn't see it, but whenever you were telling me about it, it does disappoint me.
So I don't want to get too much into spoilers, but apparently this is all rumor. There were test screenings of the movie, and there's several different endings that they have filmed, and the audiences hated all of the endings. So, uh, and he has a female like sidekick in the movie. Um, Let me see if I can pull up her picture. One second. This Phoebe Walter Bridge.
Okay.
Um, and without going into too much details, basically what's implied is by the end of the movie, she will be Indiana Jones. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things. So,
I'm gonna.
I can't believe Shia LaBeouf is now the better candidate.
right.
Okay, hold on. I don't want to hear any Shia LaBeouf slander.
I
I
love
don't want.
Shia. I'll
Yeah.
just be honest. I think
I mean,
Shia.
yeah.
I think he's got issues, but I think he was a great child actor, and he got thrust into a major movie franchise, and that is really hard on any actor.
2 big movie
Yeah, and even
franchises.
then, he's doing a lot better now.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's great in
pre-
Transformers.
pre- he's Catholic now.
Yes, he is. Um,
Mel Brooks got him.
uh,
Or Mel Gibson.
he
Mel Gibson.
was a
Keep
better
getting mixed up.
protagonist for Transformers than Mark Wahlberg. That says something.
Yeah, you know, I like it um, when uh, people have comebacks. When they, people screw up. People are going to screw up, and I like it when they're able to overcome their demons and get their lives together. Like I bring up Vanilla Ice all the time. He had a lot of
Right.
issues, and now he's doing a lot better.
Mm.
So let's hear it for Shia LaBeouf. If you've never
Yes.
seen that music video,
Yes.
it's incredible.
Yes. And I love that he leans into it.
Yeah, that's what's cool. If you can laugh at yourself, then that's
Yeah.
awesome.
But yeah, I remember whenever in Indiana Jones 4 came out, I mean, like, Mutt Williams, which was his character in Indiana Jones 4, yes, I remember his name in the movie. He was about to put on the hat. It was his hat.
I've never seen all of Indiana Jones 4. I've seen the first, so we'll say 20, 30 minutes, and I've seen the last 20, 30 minutes. I'm like, okay.
Okay. Well, so you know that's his son, right?
Oh, yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've seen up to where he is in the refrigerator, and then I've seen the ending where the aliens show up or whatever. So
So was this a situation where you fell asleep and then woke up?
no, I started watching it and just never finished it, and then it was like on USA or something. I caught the tail end of it, that type of
Gotcha.
situation. So
That'll happen to our dad a lot of times. Our dad will fall asleep and then wake up. He's like, "Yes, there it is. I saw the movie." But no, what disappoints me about Indiana Jones 5 is I love the director so much, and he's so good, and his talents are being wasted.
it's. I mean, I hate to blame everything on Kathleen Kennedy, but it's Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
I think it's just a Disney problem, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
Disney keeps doing this.
Yeah.
Where they keep trying to hype up these new characters under the guise of like a returning person coming in.
Well, it's the idea of requels in general.
Yeah. Force
but
Awakens and its consequences have been a disaster for cinema.
Yeah.
But no, I love James Mangold so much, and if this is his Lucasfilm, I don't want it. Like I mourn the James Mangold Boba Fett movie that we never got.
To be honest, you know, be the actual like solution to the whole like a younger Indiana Jones. The solution is to just recast them and just make it a James Bond thing.
Well, I mean, they've done Young Indiana Jones Chronicles or whatever it was called. I mean, they could just do more of those.
Exactly,
it'd be fine.
Because Indiana Jones was like the way that George Lucas got Steven Spielberg into Indiana Jones was Steven Spielberg wanted to direct a Bond movie, but the company wouldn't let him. So Steven's friend George Lucas was like, "Hey, I got a Bond movie that's not a Bond movie, but it's even better than Bond."
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Sean Connery's in Last Crusade, because it's flat out telling you, yeah, this is James Bond.
Yep.
You know what the biggest like crime in Hollywood is the fact that Nathan Fillion never got to be like an A-list actor and take over all of Harrison Ford's old.
Yeah, he would have been great.
I mean, like he was Han Solo in Firefly.
Oh, definitely, yeah. All right, let's move on to our last news. Wakanda Forever is out now. None of us have seen it.
Nope.
but we were hearing a lot of stuff. Now it had a pretty big opening. I think 180 million in the United States. So
Is it already bigger than Thor?
I believe that is bigger than Thor. I put on the screen mild spoilers. I have no plans to see this at least right now. I may check it out when it comes on Disney Plus.
The streak must be kept.
Well, I know you two will go see it.
Well, we forced ourselves to watch Eternals in theaters. We'll watch Wakanda forever.
Yeah, and we've all heard mixed things about this. I've heard several people say they walked out. I've heard some people say it's worse than Eternals. I've heard other people say it was the greatest movie they've ever seen, that they loved it. Of course, the big problem with the movie is Chadwick Boseman passed away, so Black Panther, he's in it, but he's not really in it.
Right.
So I'm gonna give spoilers for the first 5 minutes of the movie. So if you don't want to hear these spoilers, you can skip ahead probably about 3 minutes. But the movie opens with T'Challa dying of a mysterious illness, and it just feels cheap to me and wrong. It feels like they're profiting off of his death, and I know they're trying to do a nice tribute to him, but also it just feels wrong. It feels icky. There's something I don't like about it. And the fact that he died from cancer, and they're saying, "Oh, he died of an illness," and it's just kind of like, okay, you're making this too close to home, you know.
I thought that like maybe he would have been assassinated by one of Namor's people or something.
Okay, so let's talk about Namor real quick. For everything I've heard about the movie, like I said, I haven't seen it.
Hold on, it's time. I hate Namor.
Yes, we know Caleb is in the I Hate Namor club, and this movie may put me in the same club. For everything I've heard about him, does not sound like Namor. Again, spoilers for the end of the movie. Apparently, he takes a knee at the end of the movie and bows to Wakanda. I was like, that's not Namor. He would never, ever bow to anybody, ever. So, but what I was going to say, and it sounds like the whole movie's a war over the vibranium, that there is some in Atlantis or Undersea Kingdom or whatever it is. It's not Atlantis, and so that's why Namor's upset, is that Wakanda has made vibranium public. So now the humans are coming after them, and so now they're mad at Wakanda. That's an okay plot. For me, I would much rather this movie open in World War II with Namor and Captain America kicking Nazi butts and Namor flying around with an Uzi, have him get shot in the head or something. He has amnesia, and now he's just wandering the streets of Wakanda not knowing who he is. Have T'Challa accidentally push him into the water at the beginning of the movie. He gets his memories back, and he, in his confusion and anger, he kills T'Challa. Start the movie that way, and now you have... Because last thing he remembers is fighting the Germans and this and that and whatever, and just humans are evil. And, you can start the movie like that. I think that's... Although that is very similar to the Civil War plot where he's trying to figure out who killed his father. But I just think you could have done a lot more with Namor. That would have been a lot more interesting.
Yeah. From on a more personal note of people I've heard, because I've heard this and that from different reviewers. Craig and Haley said that it's one of those things where like the first half of the movie is as bad as Eternals, and the last half is actually pretty decent. And it really all comes down to Namor is horrible in this movie.
And that's sad, because Namor is such a... He's a jerk, and those could be really fun characters, if you do them right.
He's also the first mutant, so
no, Miss Marvel's the first mutant now. Yeah, so we're not saying the movie's bad. We haven't seen it, but we are saying that this movie should have been so much better.
I mean, I've always said what I wanted this movie to be. Like, First of all, I think we're all like far enough away from it. They should recast.
Oh,
Uh,
100%. They should
I mean that
recast.
that was his that was actually his dying wish was to recast T'Challa.
Yeah, and from what I heard, the plot of this movie did not change much after he passed away. This was going to be pretty much the plot, just with T'Challa in it, and that Shuri was going to, no matter what, she was going to be Black Panther by the end of the movie. Another spoiler, sorry. Uh, so I don't know.
See,
I hate,
another Disney thing they were doing. Keep
yeah, I hate
trying
to
to
say it, but a lot of people are like, "Oh, they're just gonna make everybody female in the MCU," and you're like, "I don't want to believe that." But then every show and movie has been doing that nonstop.
yeah.
And I heard that was the plot of the Blade movie before it all um, went to crap.
Wait, hold on. What?
Yeah, the
It,
plot of the
it
Blade movie was that that Blade was gonna have an apprentice
was
that's
going to be
gonna
his
become Blade.
daughter. His daughter was going to take his place by the end of the movie. Yeah. So I'm kind of glad that one's in the reshoots and
I
rewrites and
I have a feeling that they might back off on that idea just because someone from the outside looking in, just looking at like, wait a minute, there are like no guys in this new Marvel thing now.
well, I think that's the plan though, is that they want to do a Force movie, a female Avengers movie. So they're
which
setting up all these characters, which A Force was never popular in the comics. Nothing against women. I because this sounds
Hey,
like a sexist rant because a
no,
lot of my favorite X-Men are female characters. So
you know what? I'm friends with the
it's
female.
female Doctor Space time.
No, I was actually without women, I wouldn't be here.
that's right.
Exactly.
No, no. I mean, honestly, my thing is like, I'm totally fine with A Force, but like, it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to like pass the torch to.
Well, that and it doesn't need to feel forced. If you're forcing it, then it feels
Well,
fake, you know?
well, I mean that scene in Endgame.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
especially like a couple months, like a year later,
yeah. A year
we had the
later,
Mandalorian season 2 that just did way better.
yeah, the Mandalorian did that better because, uh,
It just dawns on you.
yeah, yeah, Fennec and Kara and Bo-Katan, like they're awesome, and it's not like a big poster moment. It's just cool that
And
they're all the
and
ones
it,
kicking butt.
and the plot doesn't go out of its way to make sure this moment happens. It feels very natural.
So honestly, I'm about to. Here we go. Here we go. Hot take about Avengers Endgame. Oh my god, hot off the presses. Someone turn off the stove. Um, the biggest problem with the ending to Endgame is the is the ending to Endgame because I mean just the whole treating the Infinity Gauntlet like a football, trying to get it into the end zone is stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
Uh,
There's a lot of problems with Endgame.
yeah, I love Endgame. In fact, another hot take is I actually like it more than Infinity War. But
Easy, easy.
Yeah.
hey, Civil War's still the best. Um, but yeah, like the treating the and that might actually be the problem is like you can have like an homage to the A Force and have like a cool thing happen, but the biggest problem is the actual set piece itself was not cool because it's just a football trying to get it into the end zone.
So
Like,
what's worse, treating the Infinity Gauntlet like a football or making it an ice cream shop in Thor: Love and Thunder? A very
uh,
traumatic event in the MCU, and they made it into an ice cream shop that affected everybody on the planet.
yeah.
Okay, we'll move on. All right. So tonight we are remembering the life of Kevin Conroy, who sadly passed away last week. This was a big part of my childhood. I know it's a big part of yours also, Caleb and Junko. You know, when Batman the Animated Series came out when I was a kid, X-Men was more popular at the time. So everybody's like, oh, Batman, whatever. X-Men is where it's at. But then as you kept watching Batman, you're like, this is really good. It was very different from everything else that was on the air. The animation, the style, and the voice acting was phenomenal. You know, Mark Hamill and several others. But Kevin was Batman. If I recall, he said he wasn't even a big Batman fan before he was cast in the role. But just his ability to his Bruce Wayne voice is so different from his Batman voice, and it's really good.
I that is definitely one of the key things when it comes to being Batman is being able to have those different inflections. Because I mean, I think I'm a big fan of the Batman. Not the Matt Reeves. I mean, I do love the Matt Reeves movie, but the cartoon from like 2005. But one of the biggest problems with Rino Romano is his Batman and his Bruce Wayne. They pretty much have the same voice. But
now sometimes they do overdo it. Like I think Christian Bale's Batman overdoes it.
Right. Christian Bale and like it's so different. It's like you can tell it's the same voice, but it's like it's the same voice, but it's a different person talking, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. So
Kevin was fantastic.
So one of the other Batmans that was not great at differentiating their voice, but to me is one of the great Batmans was Adam West, and you know, it's just sad that we've lost both of them now. For me, Adam West was the other part of my childhood Batman. I watched the old Batman TV show constantly, and it's so great, especially if you go back and watch it now. It's brilliant. And it's frustrating that we have not had a Batman TV show live action and since then. So
I love Gotham, but it's not the same.
Right.
No, honestly, since you brought up Adam West, because what I thought would be fun is just going through some of Kevin's best performances in the DC animated universe. Maybe talk a little about the Arkham games, because the Arkham games were kind of like his swan song, his magnum opus. But you brought up Adam. Let's just go on and talk about Beware the Grey Ghost.
Sure. It's a great episode.
Oh man, I am a big fan. You know what? I didn't get a picture of Beware the Grey Ghost. I'll get one real quick. But I mean, I think that if we talk about greatest episodes of Batman the Animated Series, I think this episode is always in the conversation.
Oh yeah, definitely top 10.
Yes, it for the most part, it is just always top 10. It's just a fantastic episode, and I think isn't it what kind
ironically brought back Adam West's career.
It brought back Adam.
Yeah, because he actually got a pretty prolific voice acting career after that.
I'm not a big Family Guy person, but you know what, they gave Adam West work, so
yeah, and that's something you do not see with older actors a lot of the time. Very rarely you'll see that. But yeah, Beware the Grey Ghost, just a fantastic episode where Batman and is it a TV star? It's been years since I've seen it, so it's a TV star. So it's like Bruce's childhood hero.
Yes,
and they are teaming up.
So in the
And
DC animated universe, it wasn't Zorro that Bruce went to see with his family. It was actually a Grey Ghost movie that he went to
mhm.
see. Um, and although they actually changed a lot, because sometimes it's Zorro, sometimes it's the Grey Ghost, but I like to think that it's the Grey Ghost. This is actually a
Well,
show that Bruce used to watch with his father, um, and it's really cool to see
more innocent
Bruce.
side of Bruce.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing, is this is not a dark episode. I mean, like, it can get a little dark, just because of the nature of the show, but as far as the show goes, this is not a dark episode. This is very much a cool, uplifting episode. The villain, fun fact, is actually played by Bruce Timm. So there's a couple guest stars in this episode.
Oh,
Also,
really?
the Grey Ghost,
Hmm.
bears a striking resemblance to the Shadow.
Yes, yes,
So
which
it's
is a lot of
basic.
fun.
So it's basically Batman crossing over to the Shadow, which is a great idea.
Yeah. Um, but no, I think that the coolest thing is that Simon Trent, who's the Grey Ghost, had trouble getting work after the Grey Ghost. And one thing that I found out about Kevin Conroy, the day that he died, because I was like, you know what, I wonder what else he did. He basically only played Batman.
Yeah, I was looking at that just a while ago, and I mean, he did some He-Man voices recently, but other than that, it was basically all Batman.
Yeah. So part of me wonders if he was kind of in that same boat, where like
It's typecast,
yeah,
I think
possibly.
he's. I wouldn't be surprised if he was more accepting of it by like the 9/11 story. Have you heard about the 9/11 story?
No,
no.
no.
So after 9/11, Kevin was working at like this like this soup kitchen or whatever, uh, like like feeding like firefighters and whatnot. Uh, and it was after 9/11, so everyone was like super down because it was in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Uh, but then one doctor, like a doctor, was like hearing Kevin Conroy talk, and he was like, "I know what you are. You're Batman." And it's like, "Yeah." And then the doctor was like, "Hey, everyone, guess who's cooking for us? It's Batman." And it's like, "No, you're lying." So then Kevin had to do the voice,
hmm
and he did the classic line, "I am vengeance, I am the night."
hmm
And there was like, "Holy, it is Batman." And then the doctor was like, "So, how's it feel to be these guys Santa Claus?"
Yeah, that's
You know what's weird? That I'm glad you brought that up, because I had never heard that story before. That was a beautiful story. That's the plot of the Grey Ghost, because it's about the Grey Ghost and how he influenced Bruce, and as a child, and how he became the man that he is today. And so it's cool that, like, at the soup kitchen there's like doctors and whatnot. These doctors were probably inspired by Kevin Conroy's Batman. I know I was as a kid, and like, uh even though I'm not, you know, doing something that could be considered, um, you know, uh,
heroic or
yeah,
like.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
But you know what? My degree is in criminal justice. I may not be doing that, but Kevin had an impact on me to
Yeah, he
go with
definitely
that.
touched a lot of lives.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because this is, other than Adam West, this is the definitive Batman. It
Hmm.
really is. Um, and so uh, let's go through some of the episodes that you picked
Hmm.
out.
Yeah.
Caleb has picked out some episodes, and we're running a little long on time. So we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on these, but we will pull up some and just kind of just each of us just give our thought about the episode you pull up. So
yeah. So what I'd like to do is start off with Mask of the Phantasm.
Oh yeah.
I'm a big fan. In fact, a funny story is when I was a kid, I was a pretty scared kid,
uh-huh.
uh, and so you had this DVD or VHS, I can't remember which, and you wanted to watch it. And I was like, no, it's scary. He's Phantasm's a ghost, and so I actually never ended up watching this until much later.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the best performance that Kevin Conroy. So I think the best performance overall that Kevin Conroy gives is in Arkham City, but I think the single best scene that Kevin Conroy ever does is the scene where he's trying to talk to his parents at the gravesite, and he says, "What's the line? Um, I need to know that it's okay that I don't do this anymore. I know I made this promise, but things are different now. I never thought I'd be happy."
Yeah.
It's just a beautiful scene, beautifully animated. I mean, it is definitely just some of the best voice acting work that Kevin ever did. I'm a big fan of Mask of the Phantasm.
Also,
It's
some of the best Mark Hamill performance too.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame that this movie flopped at the box office. I think it robbed us of a lot more of these movies.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Siskel and Ebert were like hardcore pushing for this movie.
Uh-huh.
Well, and if you go back and watch the Siskel and Ebert, they reviewed it a couple months after, because even they were like, yeah, we had no idea this movie came out.
Yeah, I think it came out like around Christmas, so like a lot of people just did not know about it, and it's if it had a better release date, more of a push, then maybe we would have
Mm-hmm.
had a better return. But yeah, this is a great film. The whole story between him and Andrea is just really good. Um, yeah, definitely a classic.
Yeah. Then Tom King, all these years later, actually ended up bringing back Andrea and the Phantasm for Batman Catwoman. So I mean,
Yeah,
people still remember, and it's lasted this long.
yeah, and
Um,
they bring Phantasm back in the later episodes of I think it was Justice League, right? Like
yep.
the final.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
what was supposed to be the final episode? We'll get to there.
Yeah, we're getting there, because if we're talking about best performances, that one's definitely got to come
Yeah.
up. Now another one to talk about in terms of episodes, and I've got my list right here. I'll probably skip some because, like I said, we're running a little
Yeah,
long
we
time.
picked. I asked Caleb to make a list, and he made a humongous list. So we've had to
Yeah.
pare it down quite a bit.
I mean,
And even then, I'm gonna
that's
pare it
how
down.
Caleb works.
Yeah, well, it's hard though because there was I don't know how many episodes of Batman animated series. There was a lot, and then
Yes.
it was also Justice League Unlimited, Batman Beyond, the Arkham
Mhm.
games.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to choose from, and 95% of it's great.
Yeah, right.
So
We won't spend a whole lot of time on this episode, because this is actually not that great of an episode, but it's got the line. Nothing to Fear was the first Scarecrow episode.
mhm.
Definitely
And
one of the weaker Scarecrow episodes.
it is the weakest Scarecrow
Is that the one with
episode.
the football players?
No, that's actually not a bad Scarecrow episode. That's a fun
Okay.
one. No, this one is the one where like he
He
just has
just
like a sack.
introduced his Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not a great episode, but this has the line where he, a
I
giant
Am
version
Vengeance.
of Thomas Wayne is just rah, and then he turns into a skeleton,
Oh yeah.
and then Kevin as Batman, I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman. Oh man,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's really the only reason to talk about this episode, is because it's got the line. We all know the line.
Yeah.
In fact, Darkwing Duck would go on to parody that.
Yeah.
I am the, I am the wings that flap in the night. I am the rock and roll that never goes out of style. um, but yeah, so not a whole lot to talk about there. It's just the line, Heart of Ice.
Yes.
Um, this, I think it is quite possible this is the episode that I have seen the most, because I would go over to your house while you guys are watching me. Parents would be out of town. You have the box set of, the volume one of Batman animated
That's
series.
right. I do have that. I forgot I had that. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, oh, yeah, I do have
Yeah.
that.
Oh, you know what's funny is I got the complete series of like the volume box sets, and I spent well over $100 on all of them because they were so expensive at the time. We went to Half Price Books yesterday; they're all $7 each,
Wow.
Sealed.
sealed.
Wow. I've
Um,
been tempted to buy them lately.
yeah, you
I
should
mean, it's not a bad idea
yeah.
considering like how
Yeah, I know.
HBO Max is being.
Yeah, like, oh, we've censored your episode again. Yay.
Mhm.
I
What
mean, here's the thing. We have a cousin who loves Community, but never watched the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons episode because they removed it.
Yep.
and it's the best episode. But anyway, so Heart of Ice is the one that I've seen the most, because every time I go over and I watch Batman, you pop in that disc and you're like, well, if we're gonna watch it, we gotta watch this episode.
Yeah. It is
uh,
wonderful.
I mean, like, this is the episode that changed Mr. Freeze.
Right, because he was always
He,
a lame character up to this point.
he
And
was just a bank robber.
yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I guess this isn't really much of a Kevin episode, but uh, it's nice to see Batman caring.
Yeah.
And that's what I love is
And that
they're
comes up a lot in the animated series. 'Cause when you think about it, you're like, oh, vengeance, he's just going to kick butt and solve mysteries. But there are several episodes where he's rooting for the bad guys, that they will turn that corner and can turn their lives around and become model citizens. And he's
Mhm,
trying to help them, but he doesn't fully trust them, so he's being
mhm,
vigilant, but he's also like, come on, Two-Face, you can return to society, or Harley or whoever.
I
uh,
mean, that's one of my favorite dynamics in the Arkham games is Bruce and Freeze's dynamic, because that is like the whole dynamic between them is like Batman saying to Freeze, "Come on, Freeze, you're better than this. Stop being a full-on villain." But then he's like, "Oh, my wife's been like kidnapped or something." He's like, "Okay, I'll take care of it, and
mm-hmm,
then you stop this."
mm-hmm,
And that's how it was for the three Arkham games, basically.
mhm. Yeah.
Like not Asylum, but Origins.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cold Heart. Um,
All right, what's next on your list, Caleb?
so I got Feet of Clay. Feet of Clay is a great episode. It is the Clayface episode. The reason I want to talk about this one is because not only it's a two-parter. Not only do you have Kevin Conroy as Batman, you have Kevin Conroy as Bruce Wayne, and you've got Kevin Conroy as Matt Hagen impersonating Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
It's great. I think this is really where he starts to come into the role, and he starts to get it. And I think I always got to talk about people who can play multiple characters at one time. That's why I love James McAvoy and I love Split. Um, and so I just think it's so cool. And I mean, Feet of Clay is just one of the best episodes.
And again, they took a lame character and made him cool.
Right, right. That's a whole thing with this show.
Mhm.
But no, this is whenever a lot of the the YouTubers were doing like the one villainous moment, the one horrifying moment. I love the one moment yearly series that people do. Um, who was it? I think it was High Top Films brought up Feet of Clay, and I never thought about this episode until watching that, and now it's one of my favorite episodes.
Mhm.
So
Well, the scene
those are
where he's like short circuiting at the end and going through all
yes.
the
Oh,
transformations is amazing.
yes, it's fantastic. Um, so that's the last of the animated series. I am one of those who actually
What?
consider. um, I'm actually one of those who consider New Batman Adventures to be a completely different show.
Okay, so you're counting a different show. Okay,
Right.
It does have a lot of continuity errors and
Yeah.
whatnot.
What was that?
what was Baby Doll? Was that the original series?
Oh, you know what? Yeah, Baby Doll. I completely forgot about that one. Oh my gosh, Baby Doll is not an episode that people tend to think about, but it's definitely one of the best.
Yeah, and that conversation between Batman and her at the end,
Oh my
it
gosh,
is,
I
it's
didn't
so
mean
good.
to. Uh, that's the thing, and we'll definitely bring this up. Everything's gonna come back to epilogue. Um,
Hmm.
but Batman is so good with kids.
Yeah,
And I know Baby Doll's not a kid, and that's the point. But in that vein, he is so good with kids, um, and that's honestly why um, the whole joke about Batman like grooming kids whenever they're his sidekick. I hate that joke so
yeah,
much.
yeah. He is trying to protect them from from going through what he went through. He does
Hmm.
not want to see
And
another kid have to go through that again.
also give them the closure that he never had.
Yeah.
Right.
I think, and this is actually, I know this is Kevin Conroy. I want to bring up a Bruce Greenwood line that kind of encapsulates Batman as like a person with kids. Uh, if y'all remember in Young Justice, whenever they're bringing up Shazam and how they lied and he's a kid, and Wonder Woman's like, "Oh, you're the one uh, that brought Dick Grayson into your crusade." He said Dick needed to, or Robin needed to bring his parents' killers to justice. And one of them says, "So he could end up like you," and then Batman says, "So that he wouldn't."
Mm-hmm.
And it's so good. I know that this is Kevin Conroy's stream, but Bruce Greenwood, I think he's fantastic as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I Baby Doll is such a good episode, strictly because of how he is when that's another one where he can come down to his villain's level and like understand them in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because in a way, Baby Doll's innocence was taken from her
Right.
in the same way that his innocence was taken from him at 8 years old.
Yep.
So next up, we don't have to talk about that one. Let's talk about Old Wounds. I don't know if you're familiar with this episode, um, but
Let's see.
Old Wounds is the Nightwing episode, um, where we discover why Nightwing left. Uh, and it's such a good episode because um, he can Kevin can play Batman cold and heartless and calculating when he needs to, and then immediately flip the switch. Um,
Yes.
actually, now that I think about it, we're coming up to there we go. Um, and that's kind of the whole point of this episode is that Dick hates Batman because he thinks he's too brutal and he was dating Barbara at the time, and he didn't tell Dick about Barbara being Batgirl, and the whole episode ends with a thug from Dick's story uh, was actually given a job at Wayne Enterprises by
Mhm.
Bruce.
Mhm.
And I mean, that's just that's just such a cool thing to think about and to talk about. And once again, this is a Kevin Conroy remembrance, but it's hard to with Kevin, it's hard to separate the art from the artist, because in a sense, Kevin is Batman.
Mhm.
And so I definitely wanted to bring up old wounds. Another one, we all love Mad Love.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
we
Oh
all we all
yeah.
love Harley Quinn. I think this is one of the best, because specifically the scene where she's got um I think Mad Love technically is actually, if you want to show someone a Batman the Animated Series episode that encapsulates the whole show, show 'em Mad Love.
Mhm.
Because not only it's one of the best Arlen Sorkin performances, one of the best Kevin Conroy performances, one of the best Mark Hamill performances. Um, the scene where he's hanging upside down and explaining that the Joker doesn't love you, the Joker doesn't love anyone but himself, and then he starts laughing, and he's laughing unironically. Um, he's like, "You're a fool. The Joker doesn't love anyone but himself," and it's so
Yeah, I like the part where he's like, "Oh, which story was it this time? The one where his father abused him
oh
at
yeah.
blah blah blah." And she
I rem-
realizes he's been using the same story or different
mhm,
versions of it over and over on
yeah,
different people.
yeah. Which I love that they homage that in The Dark Knight. Um, but no, it's the heartbreaking scene. Was like, oh, what was the one that he used on a security guard? Oh, I remember. The only time I ever saw my father laugh was at the ice show, and she said, "The circus." He said it was the circus.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Mad Love is so good. So, uh, Rebirth, I think, is one of the best episodes of Batman Beyond. Um, and
Is
I
that the
am
one with Ra's al Ghul?
No, Rebirth is the very first episode.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah, we're gonna. Don't worry, we'll get to that one.
okay.
Um, I I love Old Man Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Um, this is Clint Eastwood right here. This is you give me live action Old Man Bruce Wayne, I want it to be Clint Eastwood. Um, but with Rebirth, I think it really comes down to um, I think it comes down to that first scene. The first scene where he's in the new bat suit, has a heart attack,
Hmm.
and he finally picks up a gun to defend himself, and then he only one line is said uh, before the credits roll.
The
Never
intro
again.
rolls.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
never again. And then he shuts off the light. Oh man,
This is
it,
another show that I wish there was more episodes of. Batman Beyond. His portrayal of Old Man Bruce Wayne is so good.
mhm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and there are episodes of it may be on your list of, I think, Justice League, where he's playing both. He's playing old Bruce Wayne and young Bruce Wayne, and it's really
What they
good.
used to call this? Stereo?
Yeah, you know what? That one's actually not on the list, but I've already cut down the list a little bit. That's one that can definitely be brought up.
Honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions. The Once and Future Thing is what it's called.
Uh,
Um, and no, yeah, it. Once again, I just love being able to for people to play two characters at once. No, what was it? Uh, Batman, meet Batman, or have you met? Um,
Right.
I love Will Friedle too. He's fantastic. I even love Boy Meets World is just great.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I love Will Friedle. Um, and so anyway, I think uh, this is one of Kevin Conroy's best performances because like there's a point where you believe that Bruce is just so far gone that he would let Terry die, and then he unlocks the suit. Um, I also love that that he's Bruce whenever he first appears, he says the ultimate old man line, which is a "Get off my property." um, but yeah, I love this meltdown. Meltdown is the Mister Freeze finale in the DC animated universe.
Probably the
And
most tragic finale you could ever give to Mr. Freeze.
it is probably the best Mister Freeze episode. I mean, it is so good, and what I always think of is whenever Bruce, um, you know, Terry says, "Well, it looks like you were right about Freeze," because Terry was giving him the benefit of the doubt, and Bruce didn't. Bruce didn't trust him. Uh, Terry says, "Well, I guess you were right about Freeze," and Bruce says, "We both were." Um, because that's Batman is I in a way this is earlier on in the series, he definitely has lost sight of what he used to be, and so years and years ago he probably would have agreed with Terry immediately to give him the benefit of the doubt. um and so whenever he says we both were, it's definitely him saying you were right uh to trust him, and unfortunately I was ultimately right that he went down the wrong path again. um a touch of curare is a fun one. A touch of curare is actually one that I don't think anyone ever talks about, but it's the one where Barbara really starts to trust Terry, and it's really cool for Bruce and Barbara to talk after so many years, um, and it's just a fun episode, and it's I always part of the great thing about Batman Beyond is they never feel the need to go back, and but when they do it well, you know.
Yeah.
um Cameron, our next one, I want you to take lead on this because I think you actually remember this episode more than I do. uh
Which one?
Tell us about Sneak Peek.
Oh yeah. So in Sneak Peek, this shady journalist guy,
TMZ
he,
essentially.
basically, yeah, TMZ guy. He takes this. He he steals the belt from the scientists and causes a fire which would kill him. In order for him to sneak into the Batcave and figure out Batman's identity, so he can have like this big special of like, here's the identity of the Batman. But as it turns out, the belt had some side effects, which made it so that way he phases through objects without even using the belt, and eventually he'll just phase through the entire world, sort of like a no clip. So he goes to Bruce about this, and Bruce is like, this is probably the most cold blooded Bruce has been. Like, this is the most cold blooded performance that Kevin Conroy has been, justifiably so, because Sneak's actions put Terry's life in jeopardy, a kid in jeopardy, and basically he's basically gonna leave him out to die. You know,
What
like
was the line that he says?
when like the last thing he said to him was, "You're losing your head," and that was when his head was starting to phase in and out of reality. And at the end of the episode, he actually phases out of the world. He actually goes into the center of the earth, like no clips to the center of the earth.
That's
Mhm.
terrible.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and it's like I think like like Bruce's last line in the episode is also pretty cold. It's like,
That's about as inside as it gets.
yep,
because Peak's the guy's name is actually Peak. His show is called The Inside Peak, and so he's like he'll probably keep falling until he reaches the center of the earth. That's about as inside as it gets. Bruce is a savage in this episode.
oh yeah,
It's great. You mentioned Ra's al Ghul, Out of the Past.
oh,
I think this is the most terrifying episode of the whole show.
oh yeah,
It's one of my favorites. I've actually in some of my D&D games I bring up some of this. Um, I think one of the best scenes is whenever Bruce, as an old man, tries to help someone from being mugged, and then he gets the crap beat out of him just because he's old. Um, and it's just it's fantastic, and it's cool because whenever he finally says yes to go into the Lazarus pit, which first of all they made me buy that Bruce would go into the Lazarus pit, and that is a feat. That is
Yeah.
amazing that they made me believe that.
Well, Lazarus Pit isn't as Lovecraftian in in the anime universe as like the comics.
Yeah, but still, um, you have to work very hard for me to believe that he go into Lazarus pit. When if he comes out, his voice changes, and I think it's amazing that Kevin is able. I mean we've talked about how amazing Kevin is at uh, going in and out with voices. Um, but yes, he becomes young again, and he's kind of got a voice similar to the voice that he uses in Justice League or New Batman Adventures. But yeah, Out of the Past, such a good episode. Definitely one of the best. Return of the Joker.
I was just about to bring up Return of the Joker.
Yep.
Yep. Oh man, I know Return of the Joker came out. I think Return of the Joker either came out after season 1 or in the middle of season 2. But for me, this is the finale. This is the perfect finale to the actual Batman Beyond show. It's a return to the TNBA art style one last time, and it's just it is so good. I think one of the things that terrified me the most as a kid, and this also speaks to Kevin's performance, is whenever after all these years he finally Joker gasses Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And he's like the vile under table. Oh, it's so good. And the the scene the scene where Bruce asks Terry to give back the Batman suit is just there's so much uh,
Like regret,
yeah, there's so much regret. He's like, I can't have this happen
guilt.
again. I think another cool thing, because fun fact, this is the first time that we actually see Bruce really out in public. because he is now taking over Wayne Powers again. And so this is another voice that Kevin has, which is not because he, throughout the whole show, he's been really just been doing Batman as an old man.
Yeah, old man Batman. Yeah.
Yeah. He does old man Bruce Wayne whenever he is, accepting, at the party.
Yeah, Return of the Joker is great. It's probably one of my favorites out of the DC animated universe.
Oh yes.
And the whole scene with what happens with Tim in the past, just some great acting from Kevin.
Yeah. And this one will definitely, one of the hardest things for me is with Kevin. It's got me thinking about Mark Hamill as well.
Mm-hmm.
This one will definitely be brought up again.
Yep.
I don't want to think about it. I still haven't met him. I need to go to Star Wars Celebration and I need to meet Mark Hamill. That's what needs to happen.
Yep.
Dude, there's so many like big voice actors that are knocking on heaven's door right now, and I just can't handle that.
This is one of the things that's hard about growing up is you see some of your childhood heroes pass away.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been like that for the last 10 years for me, where I'm just like, oh, we lost Mr. Rogers. Oh, we lost, Jim Varney. Oh, we lost, so many people that I've looked up to. And it's just, it's Robin Williams. It's just hard,
Yeah.
So,
oh, man. Peter Culling is 81 years old.
No, stop it, Junko. Stop. All right. Let's just do a couple more.
Yeah, I've got epilogue, and then I've got the Arkham games.
Okay.
Epilogue. I mean, is this the best episode of Justice League? Probably.
That or the Notch Justice Society episode.
Yeah, that one's good too. But epilogue. I can't believe, and I know a lot of people don't like the Terry is Bruce's son twist.
I think it's great.
Yeah. I think it's fantastic because Mary McGinnis and Walter McGinnis, they're both redheads, and Terry and Matt have black hair, so it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they could have just just explained that the mom just dyes her hair. Could have just done that, but
no, this is something that was planned. I don't buy it. Like, you don't do something with art like that for 3 seasons and never bring it up unless it's planned.
Yeah.
But funny thing is old man Bruce Wayne is actually not in this episode a whole lot. I mean, he is,
but he doesn't talk a lot. He's very but the best scene is the scene of Ace.
And that's why he's great with, like I said, he's great with kids, and it's hard to remember because I mean, from the wild card episode to this episode, Ace is scary.
Yeah.
And so we perceive Ace as a monster because of what she can do. But not Bruce. Bruce knows.
So I'm glad they got another season of Justice League, but I really kind of wish this was the final episode of everything. Yeah. It is the perfect ending where it ends with the first line of the first episode of Batman, and it would have just been the perfect ending. But yeah, so that was just a small peek at Kevin's animation work. And we could sit here for days just listing episodes and talking about them. But we're going to also talk about his video game work.
Yes. I myself am a big fan. In fact, I think Arkham City is definitely in my top 10 video games of all time. Um, After the Arkham series, Kevin and Mark would go on to play more. Um, but I really think this is the magnum opus. This is the grand finale. Um, I think anyone who grew up with Batman the Animated Series, the Arkham series is really. I think this is the true cap off for the animated series because not only that, I from what I can tell, I think the Arkham series was like the last thing that Paul Dini worked on with Batman
Oh yeah.
as well. Um,
We don't talk
but
about the Killing Joke.
yeah, we don't. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, what we're trying to like honor Kevin Conroy, okay? You don't bring up what is arguably some of his worst work.
Well,
Um,
no,
Well,
I wouldn't think that like he was the downside of that. Let's be honest here.
no, he wasn't.
well, a lot of times studios get involved and say, "Oh, you need to put this in your movie," and it just messes things up.
Yes, yes.
And also, a lot of these guys are getting older, and your best work is usually when you're younger.
Hmm.
So, but is there three Arkham games? I have not. I have not played these. So
So there are four Arkham games, but only three of them Kevin and Mark are in it. In Arkham Origins, they actually got Roger Craig Smith and Troy Baker to
okay,
play Batman and the Joker. So for our purposes today, there are three Arkham games.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
and
and Mark Hamill has said several times he's done, but then he'll come back and do something. I think he's for real done now that Kevin's gone. I cannot see him coming back and doing Joker again without Kevin.
yeah, yeah. Um, which is the most unfortunate thing is I think that, and I like Arkham Knight. It's a good game. But it's hard to top Arkham City, and I kind of wish that Arkham City had been like their last thing together.
Yeah.
um, because I mean, it's just there's so much finality to Arkham City.
hmm
Um,
Well,
and
there's always a temptation to get the band back together, and sometimes it's like you should have just left it. you know.
right, right. Um, I you know what? If because there's really one thing that I want to talk about with Arkham, specifically Arkham City. Let me look up the line, um, because not only is it uh, a great interaction for um, here we go. This is it. Spoiler alerts for an 11-year-old game. Uh, so the whole the whole game is about Titan poisoning. At the end of Arkham Asylum, Joker takes the Titan serum, and he gets really buff, and he's the final boss. Well, Arkham City is about the aftermath of that and how he's dying because of that. And so you're trying to get the antidote because the Joker has injected you um, with with his blood. And so at the end, uh, he's got the vial in his hand, and the Joker can't help but say surprise, jump from behind him, stab him, and he drops the vial and it cracks. And this is a and before I get to this line, this is a Joker that very obviously killed Jason Todd. This is a Joker that very obviously shot Barbara Gordon.
This is an
Um,
irredeemable Joker.
Not 10 minutes before, he just killed Talia. Who in this series really is, because we go back and forth between who is Batman's real true love. Is it Selina? Is it Talia? In Arkham City, it is very clearly Talia. And as the Joker is sitting there, laying, dying, and Batman says, do you know what the funny thing is? Even after everything you have done, I would have saved you. And his Joker's final words were like, "I guess you're right. That is pretty funny."
Mhm.
And Joker dies, and it ends. Um, and this is beautiful foreshadowing. There's a painting of Cain carrying Abel at the beginning of the game, just up on a wall, and that's kind of like the first thing that it pans out, and then it goes to Catwoman, stealing from Two Face, but it's the same shot as Batman carrying uh, the Joker. There,
Mhm.
because they're blood brothers, because that's what the whole game is about. Um, but no, I just think that's a great interaction. It's a great line. Even after everything you've done, I would have saved you, and that really is Batman. It doesn't matter. You've killed my ward. You've paralyzed my surrogate daughter. Um, you've manipulated and killed so many people. You have killed my true love, and I still would have saved you. Um, it really reminds me of Obi-Wan Kenobi in Rebels, because he cradles Qui-Gon's head whenever he's dying. Holds him. Whenever Maul kills Satine, he cradles Satine's head in the same way that he does Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
And whenever he finally kills Maul, and Maul is the one who killed the two most important people in his life, he still treats Maul with the same respect that he did with them and cradles his head as
Yeah.
well. That's what it really reminds me of.
It makes me think of Under the Red Hood, the conversation between him and Jason about,
Yes,
why is he still alive? Why you left me to die, but he's still alive. What's the issue here? And
because it'd be too easy.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and you know what? That's another Bruce Greenwood performance that's fantastic.
yeah,
Um, but no, you know what? I think that's one thing to really cap this memorial
well,
off
before you
is,
say that, I'm gonna bring
yeah,
up one more
please.
thing, and this one's kind of more for Kevin. There's one episode we did not bring up. I mean,
Okay.
there's several, but um, and this is not my favorite episode, but I think with what we're talking about, I think it's pretty good. Justice League, I think it was Unlimited. This little piggy,
Oh
where
yes, yes.
this got
I've
allowed Kevin to show off his singing voice.
in my
Uh,
blue.
yes.
Oh, it's
So I think that's the proper way to end this.
yeah,
Batman
absolutely.
singing. Um, so uh, we're all very sad that Kevin
Hmm.
passed, and
Yeah,
there'll never be another like him.
yeah.
So
I
uh,
do think that we can all take solace, and we brought up Bruce Greenwood, a couple times in this episode. Um, I think that one thing that Kevin can rest easy, knowing that Bruce Greenwood isn't perfect, but
A worthy successor.
he's a worthy successor.
well, and it's like,
Matthew Mercer is also. I didn't know that Matthew Mercer's Joker. Uh,
yeah,
Continue.
I was gonna say that recently Robbie Coltrane passed, played Hagrid,
Yeah.
and he said 50 years from now, kids will still be celebrating Hagrid and watching Hagrid. I won't be around, but Hagrid will still be around, and
Yes.
that's the same with Kevin. Batman will always be around, and he really put his stamp on the character though. So,
Hmm.
all right, we're gonna end our Batman talk there. We would love for you to share your favorite Batman episodes. We left several out,
Yeah.
so that we could fill the comments for days with the episodes. Next week we will be talking about the state of Marvel and DC their comic books, their movies, everything. There's a lot of layoffs on the horizon at Disney. There's been huge changes with DC with James Gunn taking over. Yeah, I'm excited. And we've seen MCU kind of their quality has dropped. So we're just going to talk about where things are going and maybe what we would do if we were in charge. So that'll be our talk next week. But until then, I've been Final Monkey,
And I'm Caleb.
And I've been Junko.
and we will see you then. Bye.
See ya.
See ya.